Hey everyone, it's Christine from 1301. Today I'm just going to go over a quick overview of what dictionaries are in Python. So the first things that you need to know about dictionaries in Python are that they are a compound data type. So what this means is pretty much it's a data type that contains other data types inside of it. So other compound data types that you guys already know are like lists. They can have, strings, ints, booleans, floats, even other lists inside of them. So that's kind of the same deal with dictionaries. So the main structure of a dictionary is just that it's made up of a bunch of key value pairs. So the keys can be any immutable data type, so that's strings, floats, ints, booleans, tuples, that kind of thing. And keys also have to be unique. But as for values, values can be any data type, immutable or mutable, and they also don't have to be unique. So you can have many unique keys, and they could have, they could share values. So yeah, you can have more than one of the same value in your dictionary, but not more than one of the same key. One last thing that you guys need to know about dictionaries, and this is more of like a high level implementational detail, is that even though newer versions of Python will help keep dictionaries in order by preserving the order that the key value pairs were added to the dictionary, you shouldn't assume that the dictionary you're making or dealing with is going to be in any particular order, because order really doesn't matter. What really matters for dictionaries is that the keys are assigned to the values, so that every time you access a key, the value will be right there, super quick to grab. So yeah, just don't assume any order and don't get hung up on the order of key value pairs. Keep in mind just the key value pair adherence, I guess. Okay, so let's just get started with an example. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make an empty dictionary. So you can see that I'm using curly brackets here, and that's how you tell Python that you want to make a dictionary. And then I'm just going to add one new key value pair. So how I do that is I use these square brackets. So this might look kind of like you're indexing into like a list or a string in Python, but this is actually how you access a key in a dictionary. So inside the square brackets, I'm just going to put a key. So in this case, I'm just doing 1 as a string. And so this fits in with our restrictions for data types for keys because strings are immutable. And then over here, I'm going to use the equal sign assignment operator, and I'm just going to put the value that I want. So in this case, it's just going to be the int 1. So we can just print an example and see what it looks like right now. And then let's say I want to change the value of 1 here in the dictionary. All I have to do, and it's going to look exactly the same, is I'm going to do the square bracket to access the key, the assignment operator, and then I'm going to put the new and updated value over here. So these two lines look very similar, but what's really happening is that since keys have to be unique, Python's going to see this line and say, okay, well, you already have this key value pair in your dictionary, so I'm just going to change the value here. Okay, so if we print example again, we see that our value has been updated. Okay, so now let's talk about accessing a single value from a dictionary. So it's going to look very similar. You can just say something like print example at key 1. So again, you're using these square brackets to access the value of a particular key, and then it's going to print out the value here. And since this was a string, when you print it, it's going to leave off the quotation marks, but just keep in mind that it's a string. Okay, so what happens if you try to access the value of a key that doesn't exist? So for example, like dog. It's going to give you a key error, and that just means that that key is not in the dictionary. So you should be very careful about trying to access keys that may or may not be in the dictionary. You should be very certain, or else you're going to run into errors. All right, so let's go ahead and add just a couple more key value pairs to our dictionary. I'm going to add a key of the int 2, and I'm going to assign it to a list. So again, lists are a valid data type for a dictionary value because dictionary values can be anything. So now at key 2 is going to be assigned to this list. And I can also just go in and index into this list as you would any other list, and I can change the value. So now if we print example at key 2, you're going to see this updated key, or this updated value. Another thing you can do is, obviously since tuples are immutable, you can make a key a tuple. And I'm just going to assign it to this value. So right now, if we just want to see what example looks like, you have this key value pair we initialized at the beginning, and then this one with the updated list here, and then this tuple with that value that we just gave it. And then one last thing, just to, really solidify the fact that you can use any immutable data type, you can also use booleans. So I'm going to have a boolean as my key, and then I'm going to have a smaller dictionary as its value. So we can see what that looks like, and over here we have that dictionary inside a dictionary. One last thing you need to know about basic dictionary operations is how to delete a key value pair. So I can go ahead and use this del keyword, and then I can just use the name of the dictionary, square brackets, and then the name of the key that I want to delete. And then what that's going to do is it's going to just delete that key and that value. So you can see this key value pair is completely gone. Okay, so that's pretty much it for some basic operations that you can do on a single dictionary. And so now we can talk about some special methods that dictionaries have in Python. So 3 really important ones are just ways to access the values inside of a dictionary. So if you try to do example.keys, that's just going to give you this data structure called dict keys, and it pretty much just acts like a list, and then it'll show you, there's this 2, this 3, 4 tuple, and this true key. And then the same thing happens with example.values. It'll give you this dict values data type, and then it'll give you all of the values. And then the last one, and I feel like this is the more powerful one, is example.items. And that pretty much gives you a list of tuples. So this is like the key, and this is the value of a single pair. And then same with this. This is the key, this is the value, and then this is a single pair. So this will be pretty useful later on when you're doing iteration through a dictionary, so just keep that in mind. Okay, another one to know is, let's say we make a new little dictionary, and we'll just say something like this. So right now, this is what A looks like. We can do a.clear, and then now A is going to be an empty dictionary. So if you ever want a quick way to just reset a dictionary, you can use the .clear method. You could also do something like A equals empty dictionary. That would pretty much do the same thing, but just something good to know. And then one last thing that you might want to know is, I'm going to make A again, and then what you can do is you can say the name of one dictionary dot update and then the name of a second dictionary. And what that does is it pretty much merges 2 dictionaries together. And so now when I print out what example looks like, it's going to have those key value pairs from the A dictionary added in, but then A is going to be the same as before. Oops. Okay. So those are all of the methods that I feel like you need to know. The .keys, .values, and .items I think are the most important ones. So let's just go straight into dictionary iteration. So I'm going to make a new dictionary, and I'm just going to call it majors, and then we'll just have like 1 is CS, 2 will be mapped to IE, 3 is mapped to ECE, and we'll just do one more. 4 is mapped to math. Okay, so I want to print out a format that looks like 1, and then this parentheses, and then the name of the major, and then, 2 parentheses, and then the name of the major, and so on and so forth. So how do I do this using iteration on a dictionary? We can do something like this. For key in majors, so obviously you can use whatever variable you want. I'm just going to say key. and then I'm going to print curly brackets to represent the first thing, curly brackets to represent the second thing, and then dot format. So you guys should be familiar with the string formatting method by now. But then I'll just say key, and then to get the major associated with this key, so keep in mind that the keys are going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. To get CSIE, ECE in math, we need to go into this majors dictionary variable and then use the key notation to access the value for that key. So what that looks like is obviously 1 parenthesis, name the major, 2 parenthesis, name the major, etc., etc. So you can do the exact same thing, but quicker, in my opinion, by doing this for key, comma, value in majors.items. So this is that same .items method that we were talking about earlier that gives you a tuple of key value pairs. So what we're doing here with key, comma, value is we're doing that tuple unpacking that you probably learned early in the semester. So we know that we're going to get two things every time we iterate through majors.items. We're going to get a tuple with a key and a value. So we can just do that, and then pretty much the same thing as before, same string formatting scheme. But instead of having to go back into the dictionary like this and use this key notation, we're just going to do key, comma, value. And so this does the exact same thing, but I feel like it's a little easier to read and a little bit more intuitive. Okay, so that's pretty much all you need to know about dictionary iteration. It's pretty straightforward. Just keep in mind that if you just do something like this for key and majors, no dot keys, no dot values, no dot items, then this variable is automatically, or like by default, going to go through all of these keys. Okay, so same thing, when you do something like length of majors, it's just going to count like the key number of key value pairs for you. All right, so the last thing we're going to do in this video, just to keep it kind of short, is we're going to do a function writing example. So let's just write a function, and we're going to call it synonyms, and it's going to take in a dictionary, and so the dictionary will have strings as keys and strings as values, and the keys are going to be like a word, and then the value is going to be a synonym for that word. So I can give you an example. We can say something like words 1 equals hello, and the synonym will be what's up. And then we can have friends, and the synonyms will be pals, and then we'll have the word fun, and the synonym can be cool. So this is an example of like one of the parameters of our function that we're about to write. And then the second parameter is just going to be a sentence. So I'll say, hello friends, lists are cool, or lists are fun, but dictionaries are more fun. So our end goal for this function is we're going to go through this dictionary, and every time we see one of these words in our sentence, we're going to replace it with its synonym. Okay, so think about how you would use dictionaries and like dictionary iteration to accomplish that. So if you want to try this on your own, go ahead and pause the video now, and then you can come back and see the solution, but I'm just going to go ahead and code it. All right, so I'm just going to save this real quick so we can run it in a second. But okay, so the first thing we're going to do obviously is we're going to write our function header. So we're going to have one parameter called words dictionary, and then another parameter called, let's just call it sentence, or let's just call it string for now. So what we can do is we can just go ahead and iterate through the dictionary that we pass in. So I'm going to do for word, comma, synonym in words dictionary dot items. So this is that same tuple unpacking that we did earlier. And what we're going to do is we're just going to be able to access each word and its value in the dictionary under these variable names. So all we need to do is we can use the string.replace method, and we can say sentence string.replace word with synonym. So it's actually really simple. We need to say string equals string.replace just to make sure that the result of this gets saved back into the string variable. And then outside of our for loop, we just need to return string. So if we save this and run it, we can go ahead and run synonyms on words 1 and sentence. And it's going to give us, what's up, pals? Lists are cool, but dictionaries are more cool. So you can compare that to our example sentence here, which said, hello, friends. Lists are fun, but dictionaries are more fun. Okay, so that's just like a quick way to apply dictionaries to a problem like this. So if I were you, I would just think up some other examples of ways you can use dictionary and quickly code them up, and use that to test yourself on your knowledge of dictionaries. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and good luck.